Special dessert. Okay, last week we talked to Minneapolis-based writer and director Philip Harder about his new movie, Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, so he told us how he had turned Northfield into 1972 Alabama. That's in his perspective. Did he pull it off? Here to tell us from the website Paul's Trip to the Movies, it's Paul McGuire Grimes. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
Hello, great to see you too.
It's great to see you.
Let's start right there. Did you believe that Northfield had somehow magically turned into Tuscaloosa back in the 70s?
I did. I think that Philip Harder did a really good job of bringing that to life. You know, it stars Devin Bostic as a young college grad who befriends this patient at the asylum that he works and is really learning that his father and his community don't really align with his own personal beliefs.
So you can buy this or rent this right now, right? And that's
Yes.
how you get it?
Yep, Xfinity On Demand, iTunes, Amazon, and you're going to recognize some Minnesota actors in it, as well as Natalia Dyer from Stranger Things and Tate Donovan, and he really tackles some issues like discrimination and police brutality that are still relevant to today, so it gives you a lot to think about.
Now, when you have a movie that kind of handles big topics and gives you a lot to think about in your words, it can be tough to execute that. That's better written on paper than it often is actually portrayed on the big or small screen. How did he do?
I think it's great. I mean, I think that, you know, it's a smaller budget. It's a cast that you may or may not know, but I think it's easy to think about what happened back in 1972 and then easily apply it to today. And I think that's what kind of can be those conversation starters. And, you know, you have two characters that are two lost souls, and you kind of think, you know, the patient that the Natalia Dyer character, is she really as crazy as everyone makes her out to be, or is she just misunderstood? So I think there's a lot to take away from this movie.
Plus, you get to support a local production, which is really
Always
cool.
great, yeah.
All right, Paul, let's talk
Exactly.
about Bad Education on HBO. What's happening here?
Yes. So this is based on a true story from the Roslyn Schools in Long Island in 2002, and Hugh Jackman stars as this lovable superintendent that is caught embezzling money and leading this double life.
Okay, so I'm used to seeing
idea.
Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Other folks who learned of him through The Greatest Showman came to know and love him that way. This role appears to be unlike any of those. How does he do in this movie?
It's one of the best of his career outside of Wolverine because it's a side of him that we don't know. He's subtle, he's calculating, but there's also that buy-in because we think Hugh Jackman's so lovable. And as the story unfolds, you begin to realize what a terrible human being this guy was to pull this all off. It also starts Allison Janney, who was also caught up. She was the assistant superintendent. And then you have people like Ray Romano and Annalee Ashford are also in it.
I don't know if I want to see Hugh Jackman as a bad guy.
Oh, I do. I want to see this. I think this sounds great.
It's a great role for him. And I love that it takes the perspective of this high school journalist character as well, as she's really the one that kind of uncovers it all. And I didn't expect that angle at all from this movie. I think it's going to take people by surprise, and there's a lot of bombshells that get dropped too.
And it is like an actual movie. It's like a feature-length movie. I always have to clarify what is it when we're talking about
Well, what's my commitment? Am I getting in for 8 episodes?
No. It's an hour and 40 minutes. You can get it on your HBO platforms, and I think that Hugh Jackman could easily win the Emmy for this.
Wow. All right, now
But it's a movie. It's a movie.
Okay.
Talk about this, I believe, is a series, The Movies That Made Us on Netflix. What's this all about?
Yes, it's 4 episodes on Netflix. It's a docu-series about the making of these movies that we all grew up and loved: Dirty Dancing, Home Alone, Ghostbusters, and Die Hard, really from their early inception to current day as they go back to kind of revisit those filming locations. And it has this really nerdy, fun, energetic vibe to it that really celebrates why these movies are so important and how they've stood the test of time.
And this has been renewed for a 2nd season, so you can all watch this together.
Yes, and I love that it's great for older kids, teens that maybe have an interest in film studies, and then people like us that grew up to like realize, how did Home Alone go and get made? And like Ghostbusters and Die Hard and all these little trivia that I thought I knew a lot about those movies, and even there was some big surprises for people like me as well.
Oh,
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I see Home Alone behind his shoulder. I see all Ghostbusters.
Well played, Paul. Thank you,
Paul.
sir.
You can visit Paul's website. It's paulstriptothemovies.com. If you have a phone in your hand, you can visit it right now. He's got updates on all sorts of movies and streaming services.
You can also listen to Paul on the Colleen and Bradley Show on My Talk 1071 every Friday, or watch him on his YouTube channel. It's also called Paul's Trip to the Movies.
And big thanks to Muska Lighting for sponsoring Twin Cities Live. Still to come.
Hey.